9:30 East Coast time. Time for part 2 of pjnet.tv, and I see that our bumper's rolling. We're streaming to all these various places. Everything looks in sync. We're recording. Oh man, bumper running, chat room waiting, Michelle waiting. I see no reason to wait any longer. Let's start a countdown to Studio 8. Okay. I actually started the countdown when I said this time. Well, boy, it gets better and better and better. What a wonderful time we spent with Stephanie Pavlantos last segment. And, you know, we're so happy for her because she's been nominated for some awards. But, you know, this is the place where all the award-winning people hang out. And they hang out in our chat room. And they hang out on center stage. And you know what? It's Wednesday night. It's 9:30. There's Michelle in her brand new. Now, everything looks so good because the camera is confined. Okay? Folks, you have no idea what is outside of that frame.
Yes.
But it's not a bug this time. Okay?
No. We just moved. You know, our final move, right? The moving truck came Monday with, I don't even know how many boxes. We lost count after the second drop off of them. And they would come in, you know, all these movers and say, where do you want these boxes? And Jeff would say, you know, point different places while I unpack different boxes. And all of them, I think, are in my office. I was climbing over the boxes to get to the desk to try to clear off a spot where we could do this tonight. And I could hear my dog barking, but I couldn't find her because there were so many boxes. I was like, okay, do you need to go outside? Wait, where are you? I was starting to find her. It is a hot mess in here, but all a part of this glorious thing we call moving.
Well, moving out, there's a date that you can say we're moved out. But the date that you're actually moved in could be weeks or even months or even years later. There's still a box you hadn't unpacked. But, you know, and how well you organize those boxes, packing them up, and the order that, you know, you send them in the truck. So the ones that come out first are the ones that go all the way in the back.
Yeah, that happens.
There's a little science to this, folks. It's not just put it in a box and throw it on the truck.
That was our philosophy, though. Put it in a box.
But that's how you did it. You didn't consult me on this at all, did you?
No, we could have used your expertise. In fact, my sister came over the day that on Monday when they dropped off all the boxes to help me sort of figure out where everything would go. And she helped me unpack the kitchen and, you know, put things up. And she said, who packed these boxes?
Well, I am.
Maybe me. I mean,
yeah,
there's no rhyme or reason to any of them. I can just tell you right now. It was just like throw it in a box, seal it up, and hope for the best. And this is why it is what it is right now. I will do better next time, but there will not be a next time. I am not moving again.
Well, I became quite the expert on moving because the rent would keep coming due. So I had to keep moving. No, actually, in men's ministry, I was involved from time to time, rallying our men together to help a member, you know, or somebody, whoever was in need. And it's funny, the ones who were in the most desperate need were the worst in preparing. You know, all these guys show up and stuff's not in boxes, you know.
Oh, no.
You know, and it never, you know, we were using pickup trucks for the most part, you know, just using our own trucks. So I must have done this about 10 times. It never rained.
Oh, that's
never
a miracle.
Rained. You know,
it didn't rain here Monday, thank God. I mean,
but you had a box truck, didn't you?
Yeah, we've actually hired professional mover guys to help because we have this one big piece of furniture that needed to go up a couple flights of stairs, and it's actually still in the foyer. They couldn't get it; they had to send more guys. But
yeah, they're still talking about you.
You know, when I brought them donuts and cookies and I lots of things to make them not hate me. So I'm hoping that we're in good graces. So I was trying to bless them and make.
Now there was no dirty laundry or anything. You had to wash all the laundry before you moved.
Yes, everything was clean. It's just, you know,
what's in this box? Ooh.
No, everything was good. But I was cleaning the other house too. But the thing that I noticed through all this is my sister was teasing me because in my writing life I'm so organized. I mean, I've got tons of projects at the same time, but I've got this planner. It keeps me focused. I know exactly what to do when, and I'm really, really organized, even in how I structure writing. That is it. I guess all of the organizational stuff that's all I got. It all goes into the writing. because I
Well,
can tell you, I can't. Like Marty looked at my pantry and she said, "Why would anyone do a pantry like this?" And I said, "Are you talking to me?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just threw it in there. I'm like, it's all on shelves." She goes, "But do you know what's up there?" And so I was in the room unpacking other stuff, and I came back in and she'd taken everything off the shelves, and she was like green beans, tuna, soups, and they were all face forward. So I knew. She goes, "Do you know how many cans of tuna you have?" I said,
it
"I don't know." She goes, "You
was
have
on sale.
7.
It was on
No
sale.
person
Yeah.
should have 7 cans of tuna." I'm like,
Oh, oh,
I just kept buying it because I didn't know that we had
right.
a can of tuna.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You were buying it for the
Yes.
wrong. You have 7 for the wrong reason, not
Yeah.
because of thrift. It was on sale, and
No.
you no,
Mm-mm.
no, just yeah.
So
Uh,
she's making fun of me.
I get it.
It's okay. We're doing okay. It's just going to be a little bit, but that's one of the things I want to talk about tonight is, this, even though we've been, seems like moving since November, because we really have we moved one big load over here and moved into this house in December, but the people didn't take possession of our house until Monday, the new owners. And the last walk through, I mean, Abby and my oldest daughter and her husband and their children came down this past weekend with their little U-Haul to take all of their memorabilia and all those keepsake things, cheer outfits and cheer pom-poms and stuffed animals from when they were kids. And, as we're going through all these boxes and stuff, I was so emotional. It took me by surprise, Coach, because I am an emotional
Yeah.
person, but
Yeah. Don't try to sell
I
that
cry
to
a
me.
lot,
Yeah. Yeah. You
but
do.
I was surprised that I'd had so many months to prepare for this
Right.
that it hit me like it did. And
Uh-huh.
I had a few tearful moments, and even Abby, they asked Mom to take our picture on the front porch one last time, and I was like, okay, that's it. I lost it at that point. It was just too much, and I, I think I kind of upset Jeff. He's like, I don't understand why you're sad. God's given us this house that we wanted. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm not being ungrateful. I'm so grateful. I'm like, and Lord, I praise you. I don't want that to be miscommunicated. It's the ending. It's the ending of a chapter going into a new chapter. That's, I relate to writing things. And I just loved that chapter so much. It was hard for me to let it end, even though I know I'm going to love this chapter as much, if not more. It's just that when you really love something, it was such good memories there with my daughters, and all their homecoming and their prom pictures, and meeting my son-in-laws for the first time at that house. And after Jess and my parents passed, that's where we healed and took care of one
Yeah.
another. And there just there's just so many wonderful things that house was a part of. A lot of memories there. And yes, the memories are still there, and I have all the pictures to prove it. We take a lot of pictures, but it just was it was bittersweet to turn over the keys to another family. And I prayed over the house and prayed that they would be a blessing to them. And we got a text from them last night. It was just a few words. "We love the house. Thank you." And and I cried again. I was like, I'm just so glad. But at the same time, it was hard. And I haven't even driven past now. Like, just to drive in that side of town makes me, it's just weird right now. But I was praying about it, and I didn't want the Lord to think I was not grateful, because I'm so grateful for what He's done over here. It's just, it's just a closing of a chapter. And I was led to this. It's really bad when something you preached that comes back and preaches at you.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
something that I
Yeah.
taught
Yeah. You
a couple
can't
of years
deny it,
ago.
can you? Yeah.
Like it was, and it ministered to me. But Isaiah 43:19 says, "For I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry wasteland." And it really stood out to me. I'm about to do something new. And as I began to just really meditate on that, you can't go into that new phase. You can't go to the new chapter that God is leading you to until you let go of the old one, until you close the book on that one and turn the page to go to the next chapter. And I think many of us if we're being honest, in our spiritual lives and in just practical things, it's hard for us to let go of things. But until we let go of those things, we can't grab onto what God has for us in that next phase. And so this was a letting go and letting God kind of a week for me. And it's been a good thing. And it made me think of a story. And if I've shared it here, you just have to bear with me, because it's the best story ever about letting go, because it just, I think it's a great, well, it's a great example. But my daughter Abby, when she was in first grade, they had this lost tooth club. And if you lost a tooth, you got to go to the front of the pizza line, and at the lunch room, you got to have a gold sticker up on the board. I mean, Coach, they made the biggest deal. They had a lost tooth club song and dance that you did. I won't break into that, but I could. I mean, it was a big deal. And Abby wanted to be a part of it so badly, but she couldn't. Her teeth were like stuck in there forever. Everybody was losing teeth but Abby. She was the last kid in her class to lose a tooth. And so, she would be wiggling and there'd be no wiggling. And finally, I'll never forget the day that she woke up and she came in the kitchen, and it was like just that it gives me the heebie-jeebies talking about it, like that wobbly thing where they
You,
talk and it kind of goes in and out. Ew.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it was
When you
just on the
stick your tongue up in there and kind
That's what
of.
she did. And it was like, hang on by this one little tiny root. And you're just like, I mean, I was nauseous. I'm like, oh no. So I said, well, I said, let me get that. And she, mm, just like that. And I said, what are you doing? She's, mm-mm. And I said, oh, honey, you're going to swallow it. I have to pull that right now. Like it's just kind of hanging. It's so gross, Abby. You cannot go to school with that thing dangling. Like it's gross. And she would not, Coach, I could not pry her mouth open with a crowbar. You could not get it open. And so I'm like, we're going to be late for school. And so Allison's crying because she was going to be late for school. So I'm like, okay, just get in the Explorer. Everybody get in the car. So we get in there and I'm thinking, I know she couldn't have brushed her teeth that morning because if she had brushed her teeth, that little tooth would have already given up the ghost. It would be out of there. So I'm like, but she's going to have bad breath. She's not going to open her mouth. The whole thing is a nightmare. So I told the principal what was going on because we were late. And she said, oh, I'm sure it'll fall by the end of the day and we'll make sure to put it in a little baggie so you can do the whole tooth fairy thing. I'm like, okay, great. Nope. Coach, it went on for 3 days. Now, I know that makes me sound like a bad parent, but I didn't want her to be on Oprah years later saying, that I snuck in there in the middle of the night and pulled this tooth and she was traumatized because she would not let me get in her mouth to do it. So I'll never forget the morning that it happened, though. I hear it was, kids have different screams. And it was this really, like, it made my skin kind of crawl, kind of a scream. And I didn't know if they were hurt or if something really good had happened because there's a fine line between those screams. And I couldn't really tell. I was doing dishes in the kitchen and this came from where the kids, their bedrooms were. And then Allie comes in laughing and doing a dance. And I'm like, okay, it's a good scream. That's okay. Nobody's hurt. Everything's good. So I'm back to doing dishes. And then Abby comes in and on the back of a grape sucker was that little pitiful tooth. She had been eating a sucker and it got caught on there. You'll never eat another grape sucker. That'll do it for you. I've never been able to eat another grape sucker ever. And I said, oh my gosh, Abby, look at the tooth that you lost your tooth. You get to be in a lost tooth club. I'm so happy for you. And so I did the song and dance with her. So did Allison. And I went through all the things. You get a gold sticker, honey. And now you get to go to the front of the pizza line on Monday. This is like the best day ever. And the tooth fairy will visit, I'm sure. Like there's just so many good things about this tooth being gone. And then I said, let me see where the hole where it was. And when she lifted up her lip, I hadn't seen her mouth in like, 4 days. There was this big, beautiful new white tooth coming through. Like it almost looks like an alien in their mouth. It's so big for the rest of their teeth at that moment. It was just this huge. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's like big and white. It's just huge. It's, it's twice the size of her baby teeth. And I said, oh, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And so, we celebrated. And when Jeff came home, we did the whole tooth dance again. And it was just a big monumental moment. But as I reflected on that in my devotion time that following day, I thought, man, God was really dealing with me. And I wrote about this in one of my books because that's how we do God. He wants to take us to and do a new thing, like it says here in Isaiah, a new thing. He wants to have a new beginning with us. And yet we're hanging on to these little pitiful snaggletooths. Yeah. There are all kinds of spiritual snaggletooths out there. And I've had them myself where I'm like, nope, I'm not letting go of this, God, because this is so good. And I'm just afraid of wherever you take me or whatever you have for me won't be quite this good. And I'm too afraid. I don't want to do it. Because Abby was really afraid. She was afraid it was going to hurt. She's afraid that people make fun of her for not having a tooth. She just lots of fears. And that's usually the problem. We're afraid. We say we trust God, but deep down, we're like Abby. The mouth is shut and we're like afraid to let God get in there. And it's like God has this big, beautiful spiritual tooth for all of us. It's just wonderful what he has for us. But until we let go of the snaggle tooth, he can't replace it. And so I was thinking about that. I loved that other house. I loved the life we had there. I loved raising my children there from middle school on up. Like we have lots of great memories. But it was going to be a snaggletooth moment if I didn't let it go because God opened this door for us to be at this house. So many things are happening over here that we know it's God, but there's always that little bit of, will it be as good? Will I love it as much? And then you start thinking about, like the girls aren't home anymore and they only visit every so often. So I think this is just how kind and wonderful our God is. I was really sad that my girls, not sad. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're married. They're having babies. I get to be a Gigi. It's all wonderful. But, you start thinking about, man, every day that we had, like I was needed and they were here all the time and all their friends were here and I was feeding like a whole team of people every day and we had the best time. And so I was missing them terribly. And this weekend, I leave tomorrow after I do a podcast. I'm going to Abby's, and then that night, Abby and Bo Riley, her little girl, my little granddaughter, and then Allison and her little daughter, Rin, we're having a girls' weekend. We're going to Gatlinburg, just the girls. and we're going to be together for 3 days. And I don't ever get all of my family together like that very often. So I just think that's just God saying, you're going to love this new season. You're going to love it so much. And just because the girls aren't under that roof anymore, you're still going to get to see them, and you're still needed. And this is a wonderful time. So it was just God just giving me like a little love pat, I think, from heaven. And I needed it this week. So I'm excited about this weekend to be with my family.
So let me get this right. You move out,
Yep.
you move in. You can only do this program because the boxes.
Yes. You can't
So,
leave.
so what you're going to do is take the weekend off,
Yes, that's exactly right.
and
I've
and,
never been
and
this sore in my life.
let me
From lifting.
guess. Let me guess. Jeff will not be going, and
It's
he.
tax season, and he's a CPA. He doesn't get to see anything until like May 1st. Like, forget it.
Mhm.
He's in his office, also barricaded in there. Although I got his office unpacked. His office looks great. It's mine that's sad. So it's okay. I'm gonna just push everything out of sight, out of mind for 3 days. Enjoy my daughters, then come back refreshed and hit all the ground running when I come back. But yeah, that's kind of my little life lesson this week that God taught me is, that you got to let go and let God, and know that He has His new seasons better than anything you could have ever. I mean, I cherish those memories, but God has new memories for us to make, and so that applies to every single one of us. There's so many scriptures that talk about that, but man, that in 2 Corinthians 5:17 it says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come." That happens in us too, as we, I look back at everything that happened at that house and all the growth that happened there with all of us, not just growing up physically, but spiritually. And um, we still have a long way to go, but I just think it's all going to happen here too. And I don't know, it was just a sweet spirit today as I was reflecting on it and just letting God love on me. And I didn't know till about 6 o'clock that I was going to get to do this Gatlinburg thing with my girls. It just happened. Just like God. I mean, I couldn't have planned this. We could never get the babysitters coordinated and everything for Abby's other two children. And yet God took care of it. So what a blessing. I'm just so excited, Coach. Can't wait to be with my daughters and my granddaughters.
Yeah, I had no plans to go to Gatlinburg this weekend, but if I get the opportunity, I'll decline. Okay.
Yes, it'll be very loud and wild. You're right.
It's been that town has been taken, and find another
excited.
destination. Okay. Well, I don't. I almost hesitate to even go further because I don't know how to improve on the past 15 minutes. I really don't, because you are a mess. I mean, you are, you're such a blessing, Michelle. So, well, let's get more mundane.
Okay.
We were so happy for Stephanie.
Yes, I know. I cheered for her. Yay.
But she's not the only person tonight that has been honored. So tell us about the honors that you have been bestowed, or that have been bestowed upon you.
I was thrilled. Two of my books in the children's category for the SAIL Awards have been nominated. I Love You Bigger Than the Sky and Cuddle Up Prayers. So, and if you would see the lineup of people that also were nominated for the children's category, I was chatting with Ben earlier, and I said, of all the years that I've been nominated for that award and have sometimes won, this is, I think, the toughest competition this year specifically. Just to be listed in that. I know that's like the thing that you're supposed to say, oh, it's just great to be nominated. But truly, this year, to just be nominated is a huge thing, because every single one of those books, I've endorsed two of those books that are up. And I don't just endorse books just because I'm nice. Like, if I don't really believe in it,
Right, you
I'm not
charge
gonna
for
endorse
it. Yeah.
No, I don't charge. If I did, I would be very wealthy. But no. But those, I'm not kidding. Like, Crystal Bowman's book is called "I Love You to the Stars." It's probably one of the best written books I've ever owned. It's dealing with a grandparent who has dementia, and so it's a very needed book. And she's just brilliant. And then Jill Roman Lord, who won the big award last year, she and I are always competing for a first spot. And she's just a brilliant writer. A friend of mine, love her. Her book, The First Easter Day, is just beautiful. The illustrations are gorgeous. The writing is always good. There's so many. I went through, I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, Annette Griffin. Her book, What is Family? Okay, my granddaughter Ren likes her book better than any of my books. I'm kind of hurt over that.
Yeah.
I messaged Ned. I'm like, yeah, Allie told me that her daughter Ren prefers your book. She goes for it over all of my books. So thanks a lot. But yeah, I mean, they're just really, really well done. There's a couple others too. I mean, I haven't named them all, but I'm telling you, that is a tough lineup of competitors, and I'm just thrilled.
I'm
Crystal
going to.
Bowman, I go ahead.
Well, I would say go ahead, but I
No,
don't know when
go
you would
ahead,
end.
coach. It's your show. Yeah.
I want to do something very spontaneous
Okay.
because there's a little short video about your children's books
Oh, I
that
wonder
I
who made
haven't
that.
seen in a long time, and I bet everybody out there hadn't seen it at all. I'm
Aw.
going to leave the mic on, so if you want to make any comments,
I love this one that you made for me.
of course, you're not able to hear it. Is the problem?
Aw.
Hold
Yeah, there's
on.
great music on it.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can fix this.
Those are my girls. See my element there. That's me on TV and talking about Medlock. That's me in my normal state.
And you have a choice to make right then. Am I going to be in
Got my
fear
preach on there.
or am I going to be in faith?
We get each other. It is truly a sisterhood. It's a Yahweh sisterhood. I mean, the Bible speaks to that
On
the older
TV
women
show.
should mentor the younger women.
Because I just feel
Texas,
more
my
alone
friend
right now
Jen.
than I've ever felt in my whole life. I want to know where God is in all this. Because I know that He's a God of His Word.
A lot of kids come with no knowledge of God.
Oh,
So
look
you
at
start
that.
right where they are and you get to tell them about, God is everlasting. And sometimes He allows bad things to happen. And like today we talked about how in our weakness, God is made strong.
So sweet. I love that. Me too.
I think I'm freezing.
Isn't that sweet?
This
You
is
do good work.
it's a little stage, but it's still good.
I love it. I love this. Oh, that's my best-selling book of all time. I really touched that book. That's
Oh,
amazing.
this is precious.
Aw. Wow. I love that. I love that you made that for me. Yeah. Well, now I'm going to be all emotional again. Reliving all those books. One thing that Crystal Bowman and I said this week, we were on a children's panel together um, for the Rise Esther conference. And she and I were chatting just before we went on air. And she said, I congratulated her. I heard I think she signed like 4 book contracts this season. I've signed a couple, 3. And we were just talking about how God is amazing. And she said, I'm excited about every contract. I'm like, me too. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's your first or your 105th or 6th. It's just, you're excited. She goes, I always look at it as this could be my last contract. And I said, that is exactly how I feel. I'm grateful for everyone and that I'm still working in the industry that I love God can still use me. And I feel the same way about the Selah nomination. It's not like, oh, Michelle's nominated again. No, every time it's an honor and a blessing because it lets me know that I'm on the right path and that God is using me and that, I don't know, that people still like the work. So it's validating, but more than anything, it's just nice to be included with the people that I love, the people I look up to, the colleagues that mean something to me over all these years of working in the industry. And I guarantee you, there were a lot of great books that didn't make it. I know of a couple, and I just want them to know, man, don't feel bad about it because I was surprised to see any of my books in it. When I saw who was winning what, and having read those books, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get in this year. So just take heart and know that this was a tough year. And I've heard that about several of the categories. I'm excited though.
Well, we can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when are you not excited?
I
mean,
know.
it's
I'm pretty happy.
Well, I tell you what, we have had one joyous night tonight, and I am happy for you, not only for your new home, but for that precious time. And if I could, if I could say anything to Allie and Abby, I would say cherish. Cherish these moments with them.
Yes.
But it's actually much more important that they cherish them with you, because the day will come, most likely, when there'll be no more trips to Gatlinburg with Mom, because Mom will be home. That's usually the way it goes. And it's funny because, the past, I'm not a real sentimental guy. But for the past 2 days, my daughter has really been on my mind, and I've come close to sending her a text, just saying, I've really been thinking about you. We had this dream, and I use that in the past tense. Maybe I shouldn't. But when I had a motorcycle, I said, Shelby, we're going to go Route 66, me and you, one summer.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just going to travel. Well, sold the motorcycle. She grew up, it never happened. And I'm just getting this yearning because I haven't had a day off since March 31st of 2004. And I would really like to take some time and just take that trip we always dreamed of.
Right.
Because my father-in-law also had a dream of going out west, just me and him. Because he had never traveled, very far. And he's with the Lord now, but that's a regret. That we should have made that time. We should have made the time. And so, folks, cherish those moments with loved ones, not necessarily just your children. Cherish those moments. And whether those moments be in person or on PJNet or however, or at a conference, whatever is important in life can't possibly be more important, here on earth at least, than those moments that we share with our loved ones. So I am extra super happy for you. I am also super, did you hear Butterman will be back?
I did, and I love it so much. I get to meet him. He's going to be at Blue Ridge this year, and I'm teaching at Blue Ridge this May. So, I just was talking with Cynthia, and she said, he's gonna be there. So I can't wait to meet him in person.
Well, that to me, it was kind of it was a surprise, but it was also kind of an honor, because, that was a one and done. He was standing in for you, and I don't want to, I didn't want to take it. I didn't want to make more out of it than it was. But he approached me out of the clear blue, and and so I kind of made this policy, that I have to read the book first. I don't, and what started that, Michelle, is Craig von Busick was coming on our program. And the book that he had written was on the history of the rebirth of the Jewish state and nation. I am quite the history buff, but in Middle Eastern affairs, I'm not. And I felt first of all, he's a very learned man.
Yes, he is.
And I felt like I'm going to look stupid here. And I told him, I said, Craig, I really need to read your book. And so he sent me the electronic version of it and said, just read a few chapters, paragraphs of each chapter, and that way you'll kind of not be caught by surprise. That's a 400-page book.
Yeah, it's won a bunch of awards too.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I read every word of it. Couldn't put it down. And I probably at that point had not read a book in 15 or 20 years.
That's cool.
Now, when I was in my 20s, I voraciously consumed books on self-improvement, Zig Ziglar, Norman Vincent Peale, Robert Schuller, and they have had much impact on who I am today. But then I went a different way and put them aside. So I thought, now I'm busier than I've ever been, but I feel at the same time we got to make time to read.
I agree.
It's a lost art. And the other thing that, well, let me say it differently. Let me paint it with a broader brush. Make time to learn. Make time to learn. Michelle, I do not have words to convey the learning and the excitement. And it's like crack cocaine learning animation software. I knew nothing of it. Well, I mean, you start the software and you say, now what? I knew how complicated it was because I'd watched a couple of tutorials and I'm like, this is impossible. But that was a challenge. So the software was actually free. I downloaded it, but then I purchased a tutorial series. And Michelle, I have been on a voracious learning curve, and it re-energizes you.
Right, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever happens, don't lose that passion to learn and to grow and to take on challenges. It makes you alive.
That's right.
If you don't do that, you're just existing from one day to the next, from one problem to the next problem, from one crisis, and then comes in a little nice thing, and then back to the same problems, and back, and you get on this treadmill. And that's not how God called us to live.
Is that what we talked about tonight? It's the new season, the new beginning, the continuing to grow. I mean, all that.
It's
we're in that season
like I'm
right now.
muscling up at a gym. I'm learning, and you feel stronger, and you do the simplest little task, just the simplest little task, and of course it's 4:00 in the morning. You're by yourself in the Eagles desk, and it's like, I gotta call somebody. Oh, it's 4 o'clock in
High-fiving
the
yourself. Woo!
Yeah,
Yep.
Hey, look what I did. And then I was like, so?
I've been there, Coach, when I hit that send button on something I've been working on, and I had to really go out and learn how to do something to be able to write this particular part of it and do this layered text thing. It was new to me. I hit the send button, and I'm like, yeah, I rock that. I'm like, I'm doing my little joy in my office by myself. Doesn't matter. I know God does. I'm like, praise you, Lord. Thank you for helping me. Yep.
Yeah,
right.
I can't get my mind off this stuff.
That's
and
you're called to do this.
I
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like cocaine. It's addictive. And
I love that.
And I'm working on this. And my wife calls. I say, what are you doing calling? He says it's 7:30 in the morning. Oh,
you hadn't been to bed.
Yeah, there's some light out there. Yeah,
hours can be lost. Yeah, I do that when I'm researching. That's great, though. I'm excited that you're doing that.
I don't know. And you know who keeps coming in my mind is Cecil.
I just talked to him. He broke his foot.
No, yeah. It's like I know I can catch him now because he can't do anything.
That's true.
He's kind of captive.
Yeah, that's right.
But I just wanted to get a word from him, saying, Cecil, you've made, because you got to understand, making an animated video like this is directing a mini movie. It literally is, because unlike the videos I've been making, there's lights, and you can change the lights, and there's the camera literally is like a drone, and you can, in other words, unlike a regular video, I can put a fence post in the middle of a field, and I can make the sun come up, and the shadow of that fence post will move around like a sundial.
Really cool.
Oh yeah, and I can fly a drone around that thing. I can, when I'm rebuilding JD's ranch, I'm a little model of it, a 3D model.
That's awesome.
Now, get this now, and I've got the gate. I'm redoing it. I just did a primitive one, but the gate opens. Okay, you say, well, that's just like a video. No, because the shadows move, and I can move. Now when the gate opens, I can walk you through the gate. Then I can pan to the left and have a barn, and I can take you in that barn. I could actually, if you sent me the floor plan of your home, once I get the skill to do it, I can rebuild your home and walk people through it.
Could you unpack my boxes? Because that would be really helpful.
No, I didn't say it during the program. Well, still during the program. I didn't say it at the time, but you realize those boxes attract roaches. You realize that, don't you?
Oh, gosh. Oh, no.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they'll be unpacked soon then.
Yeah. I mean, roaches just love cardboard. They just, or old newspapers, things like that. Yeah. So, don't light fire to the boxes to kill the roaches. Just get rid of the boxes.
Yes.
All right. Well, darn it, Michelle, I've got to go to bed and I got to get up early. I got to get through this week so I can get back into this animation, and get back into making highlights videos and kind of get back in the groove of things. But everybody is very happy for you, but there is so much joy tonight. The past hour has been a joy-filled hour, and this is the greatest thing. This is the greatest job in the world doing this. This is great. So, Michelle, you've been a joy to us tonight. You always are.
Oh,
But
thank
tonight
you.
has been a very special night. Thank goodness for your story about the tooth. And I'll have to, I got to get some rest, but now I'll be thinking about that darn tooth and your escapades coming up in Gatlinburg. But it's been a wonderful time tonight. And thank you for joining us, Michelle. Can't wait till next week.
Thanks for having me.
All righty, folks, that is so much. It's after 10 o'clock. I've got to hit the. Hey, there's the eagle's nest. Where? Up there? There you go. 4 fingers. 3, 2. Got it. This is live. That's not a recorded thing. Folks, what a great time it's been. And thank you all for sharing in this wonderful time we have together. It's so special to me. And I hope that you have been blessed and you have been, your load has been lightened. Whatever we're going through, let's go through it together. And let's go through it knowing the Lord is with us and the Lord loves us and cares for us. And He wants us to be happy. Okay. Time to go. Before I go, let me remind you to really experience the joy out there. You're going to have to take some risks. A little scary. So I ask you to ask yourself these 2 questions. First, what is the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? Next question would be, when was that? Folks, we need to press forward, lean forward, knowing that God is with us. And I hope none of us will be satisfied with our answers to either of those 2 questions.